Hey everybody, we're back. It's Malu Beyonce, former fan, now survivalist, I guess. And I'm here, ready to do this podcast with my beautiful co-host, Gabe. Gabe, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. We missed 1 week of Naked and Afraid Apocalypse just because of scheduling issues and everything like that. But we're back, baby. We are going to be giving you a blow by blow of every episode. Today, we're going to do a little mini recap of episode 1. Then we're going to get to episode 2. And we're not going to hold anything back, are we?
I might hold a few things back. I don't know. There are some people who are fans of the Survivalists that I don't want to get them mad because I know them really well and I don't want them in my DMs being like, "Why'd you say that about this person?" I'm gonna watch what I say, or at least try to.
We're going to keep it clean. We love everybody. As a disclaimer, we are going on what they show on the show. Maybe I might throw in a little bit of my personal opinions, but we always want to respect that these are real people with real lives, right?
Right. Please do not send hate to any of the Survivalists and support your faves. And if we're not 100% with your faves, please don't come for us. Don't throw shade. We're just going off. We're forming our own opinions about everything.
Me and Gabe have not talked about this whatsoever, so this is going to be fresh. Let's just do a quick recap of the Joe Show. I'm sorry, I don't mean the Joe Show. I mean episode number 1, Apocalypse. Sorry. But let's start off with Joe, and then I'll let Gabe get the rest. So, Joe, who was with, I believe, was it Candace, his first time around?
Yes.
What I remember from that is I believe Candace taps and he was by himself. He was very upset. He made a to-do list and he made that wonderful comment about his wife giving him the side eye because Candace is so beautiful. And I remember that. And the last thing I remember is like when he was leaving, he talked about he really wanted some chips. Was it Cheetos, Doritos? I don't remember, but he was like, I want some chips. And that's what I remember about him from his first appearance.
Yeah, I remember him also talking to Candace about how, day 4 to 6 is kind of when, because you're not eating, certain chemicals are going to be released in your brain and you're start going to kind of be in a negative headspace, but you got to fight through that negative headspace and you should kind of be okay after that. But by day 5, she was really upset that she hadn't had any successful hunting. The chemicals were going in her brain and she just hit a low point, couldn't come back from it. And she's like, hey, I have to leave. And I think Joe talked about how one of his fears was being by himself. And so he kind of had a moment of reflection and just being like, I guess I'm alone now. And so I was just like, oh, that's upsetting.
And I remember him getting a little upset. He's like, I told her this was going to happen. And I'm not 100% sure if he cried, but I think there was some sniffles in there as well. I said this was the Joe Show, and it's not. Let's get to everybody else, Gabe.
Yes. Okay, so in order and by group, in Zone 1, we have the King of the Forest himself, Stephen Lee Hall Jr., we have Frank and Alexa. In Zone 2, we have Waz, Mr. 10.0, Russell, and Teal. In Zone 3, we have Wes, Stephen Kelly, I call him British Stephen, and Miranda. And then in Zone 4, we have Amber, the Joe, and Kel. And those are the 12 survivalists.
All right, so how are we going to do this? Let's just talk about the most memorable, which is obviously Amber, Joe, and Kel on episode number 1 at least. And let's just get right to the controversy when Joe was upset that Kel interrupted her. We're going to top this off by saying some people are oil, some people are water, and they just don't mesh well. What did you think about that interaction?
I think at least we see it start with the monitor lizard when Kel is saying, hey, there's a monitor lizard over here. Should we use it as food? And Amber and Joe are like, yes. And Kel is just saying, oh, well, I don't really know if we should really have it around because if we take it out now, we might not be able to have a fire about it. And so I don't know if this is a good idea right now. So I think that maybe we should think about this a little bit. And she kind of seems to be monologuing about why it's not a good idea. And Joe's like, okay, why don't we have like a leash or a harness? And she's like, no, the shoulders kind of go in to the neck and it'll probably slip right out of it. And he's like, you know what, let's just not take it out. Let's just not. And so I think that's kind of where we see a little bit of the tension going on. And we hear Kel talk about how it's the Joe Show and how he's talking a lot, except for at least with the edit, at least I didn't find us seeing Joe talking a lot. Some of the things are kind of getting cut out here, but they are just like butting heads the whole time and really the only source of tension. And so I think people are kind of latching onto it and saying, hey, Joe is being really rude to Kel. And some people are being like, no, Kel's talking a little bit too much. And Amber's just in the middle,
Okay,
like,
I'm going to interrupt you.
yeah, sorry, I'm just.
And I do that all the time on this podcast. We interrupt each other, and it's okay because we know we have good intentions, but you're going into so much detail, and I want to stop there about the whole Kel and the monitor lizard. I want to get your opinion on that. Do you accept my apology for interrupting you?
Yes, yes. Feel
Okay.
free to, or else I will go on and on, or else I'll talk too much and it'll be the Gabe show, and we don't want that.
No, we want it to be, all about the survivalists. That interaction was strange to me. She obviously did not want to kill the lizards. I don't know if it was for good cause or not cause. I need you to decide. Should they have killed the lizard?
I'm gonna say yes because also when Kel was getting a vote, both Amber and Joe said yes. And I think on one of the posts on Instagram from Naked and Afraid, they posted it and he said it was a 2-1 vote and I can't eat excuses. So, I mean, I say yes. It might spoil, but at least they have food. Take that
Exactly.
risk.
You don't know when you're going to get another chance for food. I think that, first off, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, when you see an animal and you're on Naked and Afraid, you don't have time to stop and talk. Get the sucker. I feel like that should have been her first instinct. And that just shows us that she's thinking a little bit more. Nothing against her, but when you're on Naked and Afraid, I think get the sucker. Immediately ask questions later.
Yeah, I agree.
You agree? Okay. So now let's dive in to the interruption part. I want to start this off by saying we're not going to turn this into anything about misogyny, feminists. We're not going to do any of that. This is what, not on purpose. This is what I'm going to say. I find it very ironic that according to the way the show was shown, he literally interrupted her 1 second before she interrupted him. And it didn't even clock as an interruption to her. Did you notice that?
Is that the part where he's just like, I'm gonna ask you, don't interrupt me when I'm talking? Is that part? Or was
No,
that another
before the
part?
whole interaction started, she was talking about something else and he started talking and it was not a big deal. I'm going to put it here. I say that I'm going to do it every time, but this time 100%, I'm going to put where he interrupted her right before she interrupted him. I want to point that out.
Was it, gosh, was it the part where she was talking about the lizard and he's like, you know what, like we're not gonna take it out.
No, this was
Dang it, I
this
saw the
was
episode multiple
literally,
times.
I mean, it's because the reason why it's not clocking with you is because it was literally 1 second before she interrupted him and it was no big deal. And you just kind of go over.
Do we bring any cordage? No, because that was breaking.
Got wire on the
Yeah, do we bring any cordage? No, because that was breaking.
got wire on the
Yeah,
I feel like I need to be really careful with my words because there was someone on the True Fans page that says, oh, if you defend Joe, you're a misogynist. Joe's a misogynist. And the reason why we didn't see him being a misogynist with Candace is because she left so soon. And I'm just like, I don't think that's right, but I'm also not a woman and I also wasn't there, but I also don't think Joe's a misogynist. I just think that, again, oil and water.
I think that it was just a bad mix of everything. She interrupted him, but at the same time, her response was not immediately, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I interrupt people all the time and I don't mean to. And the first words that come out of my mouth is, oh, I'm sorry. And she didn't do that.
Yeah, I think that's also one of his points of contention is it's always an excuse or it's always an explanation. It's never just I'm sorry and move on, which kind of comes up later.
I would also like to point out that if he was doing a stand-up or if the camera's like right there in your face, it's a little bit different. It's almost like you're giving an interview. So for you to talk while you're standing there in front of the camera and they're, obviously wanting your opinion, it does seem more like an interruption. She probably didn't see it that way because she wasn't really paying attention. She's looking for wire or whatever.
Oh yeah, and I also there was a point where we kind of see him doing like the me thing, like I guess imitating her, but like with the editing, I think he was like off by himself when he did that, kind of talking to himself, like, oh, why is she doing this? It wasn't like in front of her, just being like me, mocking her to her face, but it's just the edit is so weird, and I guess because I'm sure it was like little snippy moments, but because there's not really a lot of drama this season, they have to be like, look at this snippy moment, look at this snippy moment, and then everyone's just focusing on that while everyone else is like kumbaya-ish. And so I'm sure that's part of the
Ish.
reason.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was also surprised that Amber did not interject more. I wonder what was going through Amber's head at that point. Like, oh my gosh, they're arguing. What do I say? They never showed her stepping in. Not saying that she didn't, but they never showed it.
Okay, this is a conspiracy theory. This is not true. My sixth thought as to what she was thinking about, and maybe it was just editing, but my first thought is she's thinking, yay, people will forget about me and Trish fighting. I'll get some of the heat off of me for once, finally. That probably is not what's going on, but we do see her kind of trying to mediate little bits. I think she liked both of them, where she didn't want to seem like she was taking one or the other side and then like end up in the middle and be the target of both of them. Possibly.
Feel the same. I feel that she was very good at staying in the middle. I think that she could mediate it better. Do you know who Jefferson Fisher is?
I do not.
I know Amber was trying, but what we need on Naked and Afraid is Jefferson Fisher. I don't know if you know him, but he gives some of the best advice. I listen to him almost every day. And this is what he says about being more respected, because this is what I think was severely lacking on that team, was respect and leadership. And I feel like Joe needed more respect for Kel, and I feel like Kel needed more respect for Joe. You got to respect that some people are different. So this is what Jefferson Fisher says. You ready? It's such good advice.
You want to be more respected. When you communicate, here's what I want you to do. Number one, understand that respect follows those who don't chase it. So instead of raising your voice, you're going to find that you lower your voice. When people amp up, you're going to slow it down. You're going to signal calm.
It's easier said than done, right?
Right. Yeah, and for some reason, I'm getting like Matt Wright vibes from this guy. Like, I feel like this is something Matt Wright would say while on a challenge, and just being like, you need to make sure you respect so-and-so and all that good stuff. I don't know why, but that's where my brain goes.
I get that too. I feel like right then and there, somebody should have said, hey, we're not respecting each other. Let's take it down a notch. I'm sure she didn't mean to interrupt you, Joe. Let's try again. That's what I think should have happened.
Yeah, I think in the moment of him trying not to like yell, it was very like, I told you not to interrupt me. And it was a little bit like, okay, it's good you're not yelling, but that's a little bit standoffish. We need to reel it back. Everyone go to your sides, take a breather, come back, talk it out.
I mean, and we definitely know what we're talking about. I mean, even though I'm sitting here fully fed eating Ruffles, I mean, that has nothing to do with the fact that they're out there in the 120 heat. It's hard out there, people. Cut everybody a break.
Yeah, I want to say, like, Russell, Joe, and Kel, please give them a little bit of a break, because people often forget, like, they're starving. They don't have much protection from the sun. They're in the sun. Where's the shade? It's just, they have no shoes on.
Exactly. And we know that on my episode, me and my partner got into it once, and I stand by what I said then, just like now. A smart survivalist gets over it. You're going to be with them. A smart survivalist has to come to amends. And there's also a big thing in communication is you cannot have communication without conflict. It's the way that you manage that conflict. And we've been talking about them for 20 minutes. Like I said, it was the Joe show. Let's talk about the other controversy, which was Waz, Teal, and Russell on the first episode of Apocalypse.
Oh gosh. Yeah, here, let me look at my notes. And yeah, with my notes, it's pretty much like Amber's group, Wes's group, Stephen Lee Hall Jr.'s group, and then like Wes's group. No shade to them. It's just like with the fighting and stuff, and the tension, and they're more focused on because of that. So there's going to be a lot more to write. But Darn it, I hate.
Well, let me say this, and then I'm gonna ask you your opinion
Okay.
on Waz, Mr. 10.0, Russell, and Teal's group. I'm gonna go back to leadership. I could not believe that nobody just didn't say anything to him. Why somebody just didn't say, whether it be 10.0 or Teal with a softer touch, hey, we're both feeling probably the same way you are. Can you step it up? I don't understand why they just didn't confront him.
I think it might have to do with the fact that the first episode is day 1 to 3, so maybe they weren't at a point of like, hey, or I think he was still recovering from his heat exhaustion at that point, so they don't want to try to like push him and have him go even further and potentially risk his health for it. But they're kind of talking about their frustration a little bit and just like, hey, I just let this out a little bit. He's not really doing too much, and if he keeps doing it, we may need to have a talk with him. But he did seem to be very affected by the sun, and they just wanted to give him a little bit of a grace period instead of being like, you need to get off, or do what a lot of the fans want to do and be like, you need to get off your keister and you need to go and build up that boma, you son of a gun, and all that good stuff. But I think they were just trying to give him a little bit of grace.
Okay, I can see that. I can see them wanting to give him grace. I don't know. I don't think Russell was faking it. I think Russell was really sick. I think that the only thing that confused me, and it's not about confusing me, it's just about optics. I felt like when he went to go hunting and didn't help with anything else, it made him look bad. Not that it was bad, because in his mind, he's probably thinking, if I get a kill, that's going to make up for all of me not being able to contribute. That's what I feel.
Yeah, but I'm sure his campmates would have been like, maybe he could have gotten some firewood. But when he was coming back, he was like, wow, that was super fast. So maybe he just went on a little bit of a walk and then was feeling dizzy. And since he's been on a few challenges, he's been able to listen to his body in the scenario. And he's like, I'm going down. I need to like take a breather here. But unfortunately, it caused a little bit of tension, just him going so fast. And it's just like, okay, you're drinking some water. Waz and Teal are doing a lot of heavy lifting right now. We need to know that once you feel better, you're going to kind of step up to the plate a little bit. But
yes, reassure them that he's going to contribute more. So the advice that I'm going to give Russ is, because I like Russ. I think he has a good personality. I think he has a good heart. I think that he's getting not a fair game. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are really giving him the business. He is from Texas, not far from me. Russ, I hope to see you back, but I do have a piece of advice for you. You need to work on your Matthew Stafford sense of urgency. And if you don't know who Matthew Stafford is, you gotta Google who he is in his famous play. I'll actually try to drop it right here. Gabe. So he's in a football game and he's a quarterback and he throws the football and he gets tackled and like his shoulder pops out and he's like literally almost crying, and they take him out the game. But then the other team calls time out, which gives them enough time to pop his shoulder back in. And he's like, I can throw, I can do it. And the coach puts him back in. He throws, completes the touchdown. And then as soon as he gets done, his teammates who really didn't know what was happening were like, great play. And they pop his shoulder out again.
no.
And you can see on the video, like his arms like, ugh. So that's my advice for Russ. Push a little bit harder, even if you think, I don't want you to take yourself out the game, but you got to push a little bit. It's amazing what your body can do and your mind when you really push yourself. And that's all I have to say about Russ. I don't think he's lazy. I think that the optics were bad for him. He should have said some different things, and then maybe Waz should have tried to inspire him.
Yeah, I feel bad for Russ because, his first challenge he did well. He made it through. His second challenge was with Chance and it was raining and he just decided to kind of leave him behind. He tried to get in a redemption on XL season 5, but then he got bit by the snake and had to be taken out. And then he was on Last One Standing season 2, but then was part of the double elimination. And people, like, so many fans have been coming for him in the comments. There were, so many negative comments where I'm just like, okay, instead of letting 20 of these through, I need to let 2 out. And then the comments are getting flagged because of people's language. And it's just like, and also Russell made a good point on on a post where someone's like, why do they keep bringing him back? And he's like, because you keep talking about me, that's why they keep bringing me back. And remember,
I
everyone,
didn't see that. That's what he said?
yeah, he's like, if you're talking about someone, they're going to bring him back, positive or negative. I don't know if he really said that last part, but just so the fans know, if you're talking about someone, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. If you're talking about them, then the producers will be like, oh, this will get people talking. Let's bring him back. And that's why they're bringing him back. And I just think he and a few others have been hit with a lot of bad luck. Please don't send hate to him. I'm sure he really wanted to make it through. It's just he got hit with the bad luck with the heat. And so maybe he can come back for like a full redemption at some point, but I don't
Yes,
know.
don't send him any hate. He makes a very good point. I want to thank him, and the controversy between Kel and Joe is making this show really excellent. It's up and down. That's what life is. If everybody's life was confrontation free, life would be boring. That is not how real life is. Real life is getting into arguments. Real life is being too tired to get up. This is real life. This is really happening out there. And they made the show interesting with the help of the editors. Thank you.
Mhm.
But yeah, thank you. It was great. Let's move on to the other ones because we're already going long because it was so interesting. Let's talk about Wes's team next.
Yes, my favorite team because there's someone with an accent on it. There's also someone with another accent on another team, which is also one of my favorites. But yes, we have Wes, Stephen Kelly, and Miranda. And it's really interesting because a lot of individuals, when they're looking at the cast, pretty much all the 21-day completers, everyone was like, I don't remember them. Who are they? And it's just like, ah. But yes, for those who don't know, Stephen Kelly, he's the British commando who was in Colombia. And Miranda was also in Colombia for her challenge. She's the charter boat captain and she's used to being on the water, but now she's like in a desert. And so she's like, we'll see how this goes. And Wes, it was really funny because there was a moment in episode 1 where Steven and Miranda are like, ooh, look at this. Ooh, something shiny. Ooh, squirrel. Ooh, something over here. And Wes is like, focus. Focus.
Yes.
And Miranda's like, okay, Dad.
Love that interaction. Okay, Dad. My question to you, which we haven't talked about up until this point. This show is made where you kind of have a leader and you have 2 people who are newbies, correct? I mean, so he is supposed to be the leader. Waz is supposed to be the leader.
Yes. And I kind of feel as though Amber, she saw the way she was perceived in XL, where she was supposed to be the mentor. And I think because of what happened on XL8, she's not like, I need to step up to this mentor position. But I feel that Wes has definitely stepped up to the mentor position. Not to throw any shade at Amber. I can see kind of why she wants to like take a step back and
Tread
reassess.
lightly.
Exactly. And Wes is
Good
very
point.
much, very much like a let's focus on doing this. We have our task ahead.
Yes, that's a very, very good point. Wes, Teal, and Steve all seem to be working well together. Now, I will say this, and you correct me if I'm wrong. And we can cut this out later if we need to. Steve was on another Naked and Afraid in another country where they don't censor.
Yes. Also, you said Teal Miranda is with
I'm
Wes
sorry,
and
Miranda.
Steven. But yeah, it's
Sorry, Miranda.
oh gosh. I remember someone posting about it recently, but it's a show called Naked, Alone, and Racing to Get Home, where 2 pairs of survivalists have a small amount of items and they're, I think, somewhere in Scotland or something, and they have 3 days to race to a location to win £5,000. And part of the race is like, was at least in Steven's episode, was like through a town and stuff, and they don't censor anything. And his wife Jenny was there. And spoiler for the end of Steven and Jenny's episode, skip ahead like 15 seconds if you don't want to know, but Steven and Jenny didn't win, but he proposed to her at the end of their episode, and it was really cute.
Yes, it was really cute, but was he naked when he proposed?
No, he had a poncho on. They both had ponchos on.
Okay, so spoiler alert, he's done a completely new show. I would never. I mean, and I know I say I would never a lot, but for that one, I would never. Okay, let's move on. I really like Wes's team dynamic. He is leading. This is what we like to see. This is what the super fans, and I think moderate super fans like. They like to see people getting along. They want to see mentorship, and that is what their team is giving. I really like it. Let's move on to the next team.
Dun, 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 dun. The king of the forest has returned. We have Stephen Lee Hall Jr. himself at 272 days on the road to be the first survivalist who has 300 days in the wild. And he has partners Frank and Alexa. And I think that this is probably one of the best groups to be a part of because, Stephen Lee Hall Jr. has been all over the world essentially and has 272 days. Frank is a fan or he started out as a fan, completed his 21-day challenge. He's very popular. He showed a lot of skills. He helped his partner. Alexa, she's very strong. And one thing about her is she's not afraid to be vulnerable. So she's like physically strong and mentally strong. I think that it's just a really good, strong trio right here. And I look forward to seeing their successes and hope that they all make it all the way through.
Me too. I am pleasantly and very happily surprised that there's no egos going on right now because, Stephen Lee Hall is kind of taking a back seat sometimes and he's letting the mentor, like he wants to hunt, he wants to do this, and he has a lot of suggestions and it's not bothering him at all, which I love. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I think that he just seems very agreeable and he throws out his ideas, but he's doesn't block anyone else's ideas. And it's just kind of it's mellow, but it's like they know what they're doing and what they're getting into. And it doesn't feel like there's any like, oh no, what's going to happen?
I think a lot of people will be intimidated by Frank because he is stepping up. He is, just showing his leadership. And back to what you said, Steven's just going with it. And there's no, one-ups or anything like that. And it's refreshing to see. Another element of this whole package that makes Naked and Afraid Apocalypse a winner. I know some people say they hate this part, they hate that part. It's a mix. You have to have all of it to go in there. And it would not be as good if we didn't have the great team or the fighting team. We need both.
Exactly. I remember there was a post, I can't remember what someone said, but Mandy from season 18 was saying, what do you guys want? Because when it's the regular Naked and Afraid, people are like, oh, I don't know, the drama, blah, blah, blah. I want it to be XL. But when it's XL, people are like, no, I want more drama. Let's be LOS. But when it's LOS, it's like, oh, this competition, I don't like it. Let's go back to regular Naked and Afraid. And it's just kind of this ever present, like, what do you want? Do you want drama? Do you want people to work together? Do you want a competition? But I think it's just kind of the loud minority just kind of being like, I don't like this. They need to do it like this. Teal was carrying fake shoe, or Teal was carrying like actual sandals. She didn't make those, even though she showed proof of her making sandals. It's all stage. That couch looked too clean. Castaways was stage 2. It's just like, just stop criticizing survivors for things they can't control, please. And also the edit is there.
But that's the thing that makes this show so great. Everything you just listed, everybody having their own opinions. I think that Barbara from fans of Naked and Afraid XL did a poll saying what type of Naked and Afraid do you like most? And Last One Standing was like at the very bottom. And Naked and Afraid Apocalypse was like near the top. And I think that's for super fans who care about their favorite survivalists. They care so much, they're willing to go after someone who opposes their favorite survivalist view. I think that those are the ones who are like, no, we don't need competition. Overall, I think Last One Standing is probably the most profitable, not only because it's new, fresh, but because there is a competition. The people over there at Discovery are very smart people. They know what they're doing. Let's go on, because I could talk forever too.
Barbara from fans of Naked and Afraid and XL, shout out to her. She also put up a poll on which group would you want to be a part of, and with the really big majority, it was Stephen Lee Hall Jr., Frank, and Alexa. So
really? Okay, so let's do this. What group would you want to be on?
I want to say Wes, Stephen, Kelly, and Miranda.
I think I would say that too. I think I would, I would really like to be with Wes because I feel like he could teach me a lot. I would like to be with Waz because, he's obviously proven his stuff. But I will also say this, going back from Waz's very first appearance on Naked and Afraid, he has resting witch face. And sometimes he looks really mad and he's intimidating. And I was just like, ugh. So yeah, Waz, I love you. You know I do. But I think I would be a little scared of you. So therefore, I choose Team West.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people would say like Stephen Lee Hall Jr., Frank and Alexa. And I'm just like, yeah, that would be cool. But I also, I don't know. I feel like Wes would be like a cool guy to chat with about stuff. And he would be a good teacher. Not to say Stephen Lee Hall Jr. isn't a good teacher, but, and also because I want to listen to Stephen's accent. So I could be like, hello, my name is Stephen and I'm from Liverpool. And he's like, stop imitating my accent. That's really weird. And I'm like, no, I'm going
you would
to
get
do
on
it.
his nerves.
Exactly. Oh,
we have a fan post, and I thought this was really interesting. So this is what somebody wrote, and they did it anonymously. And they said, who is this Joe guy? Was he on another episode? He has serious narcissistic disorder. Speaking down to your peers is a revolting quality. Again, we don't agree with that. And then this person says, I guess I'm kind of happy. I have no idea if he has been on a show before or not. Zero interest in being a fan of his. Now I did not choose this fan post because of that, because what he said was, a little bit ick to me, right? But let me talk about Mark Nicholson, who came in with a fan comment that was chef's kiss. Mark Nicholson says, let me get this straight. You want to come on here, name call a survivalist, but don't even have the courage to do it under your own name? How cowardly can you be? You go ahead, Mark. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Do not come on these fan pages and bash people that in such a negative way. Call them narcissists from a 3-second TV clip.
The word narcissist has been used so much. There are people who are actually diagnosed as narcissists who are like, why am I in it? People, they don't know what it means. They're not doctors. They're not psychologists. People like to come in and just assume they know. They're like, it's just like, this person came in too big. This person came in too small. This is a sociopath. This is a misogynist. This is a narcissist. And it's like, I don't think Joe is a narcissist. And I also don't think that he's a misogynist because, as I said before, people are like, oh, Joe's a misogynist. These are words that you shouldn't be throwing out. You could be like, I don't like his attitude. I felt like he was a little rude. He could have worked a little differently. And, and some people are on Joe's side where they're like, Kel has been talking too much. She should have just said sorry. There was a situation where...
keep talking.
Sorry. During one of the night, she was going to move like a big stick or something from the fire because she's like, oh, I don't want anyone to trip over it. And while she was moving it, she hit Joe twice in the head. And he's just like,
let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to mention that because I mentioned it before and my memory is a little iffy. So I just wanted to bring that up as like a situation where all she needed to do was apologize, but she was giving excuses for it because he's like, hey, can you please not hit me in the head? Why are you hitting me in the head? Because she hit him in the head twice with the branch and he ended up grabbing it and throwing it. But then she said he grabbed it and threw it, but then like the next morning it ended up in their fire because he's like, this is the stick she hit me in the head with.
All of that was crazy. I want to break it down to two things. Number one, them thinking that they were going to sleep in that tube and be warm was a mistake. So therefore they had the fires way too far. And trust me, I am an expert on the fires being too far. Jeez. The fire was too far from them. Joe got up, went outside. He's not in the best position. It's dark. They have thorns everywhere. She didn't do it on purpose. She didn't do it on purpose. To give her the benefit of the doubt, as always. But girl, when you knock someone in the head with the thorny stick that you just said that could hurt somebody, she did say that, right? She's like, I had to move it. That could really hurt somebody. I just used the same stick to knock him in the head and don't say sorry. It does not mesh up.
Yeah. And in episode 2, they tried to talk it out, but she still kind of seemed to be giving excuses for it. And I think that's kind of, Joe feels like he's not being listened to, and Kel feels like he is just all about himself. And it's just like,
Well, let's get into episode number 2. Amber could not get them to see eye to eye, and Kel makes a decision to leave. I don't know how much of a decision that was. From the editing, everything about that felt weird to me. I thought it was really weird how when, God bless Wes, I love you so much. Not only did you say duct tape, but your face when they asked you if she could come stay in your boma, I would love to play poker with you because you could tell you were like, I don't know if this is a good idea. This show is great, right?
I mean, I was just like, oh no, because he's just sitting there and he's like, we have no food. We have another person. We just finished our shelter and made it for 3 people. But sure, that's fine. And he also is like, okay, so one of the people who is a part of this argument is now in my camp. It takes 2 to tango. What's going on? And so I'm just like, ooh, Wes is clocking the T.
Yes, but it was a shocker to see Amber walk back. And poor Joe, he was so proud of his homestead.
Yeah,
He's
the
like, I can't wait
shelter
for
and
her
his
to see.
little
And she was like,
cot.
yes,
Yeah.
but let's talk about, I guess, the number one thing is Amber tapping. Are you surprised that she tapped over an eye?
Not surprised that she tapped, or I think she was really med tapped just because they wanted to make sure that everything was okay. But I just feel like she's one of the most unlucky survivalists because I think in 6 challenges she's done, she's been med tapped in 4 of them. I can understand like she has the thorn in her eye. It seems to be getting infected. It seems to be getting worse, even though they've been flushing it out. And so it's just. And, earlier, before it happened, it's like, gotta watch out for these thorns, gotta watch out for these thorns. And I think she was moving around and she said, like, her pelt pushed the branch forward and it right in her eye. And it's just like, ooh, that, it's one
I don't know
of
how
the
to feel
unluckiest
about the
survivalists.
medical tap for her eye. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know how I feel. It goes back to I'm having deja vu with who other than Trish and the medical people wanting to tap her out over the eye. And Trish was like, nah, I'm staying. Right?
Yeah. Trish was very affronted by that too. She's like, why do they want me to tap? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
it's being fleshed out. I'm okay. Why would they do that? And Amber's just like, I'm in a lot of pain. Maybe if she didn't go on that hike or if maybe she rested, things might have ended up differently. But I think when the medic tells you you need to go, it's just like, okay, I gotta go.
Have you ever wore an eye patch before?
No.
Scratched my cornea before.
Oh.
And your eye is so sensitive to light. And it is very painful. But being in 110 heat, when you need to keep your eye covered and taken care of, I'm sure wiped her out. I think her walking Kel there was kind of weird. Everything about it was weird. Unfortunate circumstances. Amber's out. Joe's by himself. Kel has a new home. What's going to happen to Joe? See, it comes back to the Joe show. What's going to happen to Joe? By himself, or is he going to merge?
Kel's name came to fruition. It's the Joe show. He's by himself day 5. I think that maybe his thought process is there are still some untapped resources here. I'm by myself. I want to use as much as I can before I move on to the next location. So I think he's going to be by himself for a little while. And then he's just going to be like, I've used up all these resources here. I need to go merge. But Kel went this way, so I'm going to go this way. No, wait, no, he's in zone 4,
And I think
so he
he's
has to
going
go
to
this way.
replace Russell, right?
He just crosses over to zone 2 and he's like, oh, hello, Wazenteel.
Joe is very happy to be by himself, even though I know that sounds weird because he said he didn't want to be alone in Africa. He's back to his first time. I think this is just going to make him stronger. I think he is going to replace somebody. What do you think about Russell tapping? Is it Russell?
Yeah, Russell.
Okay.
Yeah, he unfortunately, he did have a panic attack during the episode. And I'm sure at that point, after that, he was just kind of like, okay, I'm not really I can only work so long in this heat. I just had a panic attack. So, that he has some nerves and anxiety going on. And so he's probably like, I don't want to burden my team.
I think Russ made a good decision in tapping because he wasn't contributing the way that he needed to, the way that he wanted to, and he knew that he was going to pull his team down more than he could lift them up. And I'm sure it was a hard decision, but the right decision to make. Bravo to you for knowing when it was time to tap out.
Yeah, because there have been a lot of times in the past where survivalists didn't really know when to tap and their health just kind of went down. My first thought is Charlie, unfortunately. He stayed a little bit longer than he should have, and that may have caused some health problems later on. So it's just, don't try. I guess I've never been on a challenge, but to all the survivalists, don't try to push your health just for the sake of maybe what the audience thinks, or like, no, I need to make it through, even though you're like going downhill, your health is kind of declining. I don't know if you should stay longer, kind of thing. So unfortunately.
Also, it's really smart not to tick off your teammates either. And if Waz has resting witch face, can you imagine what his face looks like when he's really mad? So yeah, I think Russ made a good decision. But what else happened in episode 2 that was amazing? Because the only thing I can really think about is Amber, Russ, and Wes saying it's just like duct tape and WD-40. That's all I can remember.
Yeah. Oh, and I also wanted to say that a lot of fans have been saying that Russell was Waz's comeuppance for being quote unquote lazy during season 1 of Last One Standing season 1. And I'm just like, first of all, no, it's not. Waz was not lazy. Someone said that, and people who didn't like Waz latched onto it. And were like, him not placing below like third in most of the competitions, Waz finding a lot of the cash items. That was so lazy of him. Everyone just fed him, and it's like, no. But I'm also trying to think of other stuff. But yeah, it's
Waz
just
was
Waz.
not lazy at all. And give me a break, people. Well, I guess the only other thing I remember is going into this show, I was like, I would love to be on Apocalypse. I was like, David's story. This is the kind of show I want to be on. Changed my mind. Those animals were way too close. And I think that some of their bomas were not strong enough. I was nervous at one point during the show. I'm just going to call them deer because of lack of words. A deer moved really fast, and it wasn't anything scary, but I literally jumped out of my seat. I was like, I don't know why that scared me. I was just on edge from all of the animals. When the girl put her feet in the elephant's track, I was like, I'm out. I'm done. No way, no how. I think the animals are way too close.
Yeah, and I'm sure being around elephants can be super scary, at least when you're out there in a challenge, because they've explained it in a few episodes, but for listeners, if you don't know, elephants kind of have a layer of fat, and they're basically like essentially walking on high heels because there's like a layer of fat underneath their heel. So it's basically like they're tiptoeing around. So you would think like they're like breaking things down. They're very loud, but it's like, no, they're like really silent. You might turn, it's like, there's an elephant. Oh gosh. So that's very dangerous. Something I also remember is Steven running as fast as he can after that monitor lizard after Frank took a shot at it. And
I think that's a very bad idea, but for Stephen Lee Hall Jr., the king of the jungle, baby, you do what you do. I think he's one of the ones that I would allow to be like, do what you do. I think that was a great run.
Yeah, he went real fast after it up that hill, but unfortunately when it went into their secondary water source, and they're trying to get it out, but it's just like, nah. And Frank sets up his hunting blind, and based on commercials, maybe some success there. Amber overexerting herself and tapping. And so it's just like, but or I think she's got a little bit of a redemption with the fans, because a lot of people saying I really respect her for taking that walk with Kel to make sure she's safely at the other group. And this is really unfortunate. Other people are like, why did she go on that walk and not wait there wait until the next day kind of thing. But I think at least, Amber's reputation of in the Naked Afraid community is a little bit better. So that's good at least.
Yes, but I don't think I don't think any of that was wise. But the show's over. Yeah. What's episode 3 going to bring for us? Because now it's like we have the Joe show. Joe's by himself. I mean, what's going to happen next?
Okay, I have the episode name and description right here.
Sorry, we had technical difficulties here. Here we go. The overview for next week. Fueled by their fishing wind, Waz and Teal scavenge the ruins to build a shelter. Wes fights a territorial crocodile for control of a fishing spot. Amber battles an eye infection. 2 survivalists are forced to leave the challenge.
And I think I know who it is.
I know that you already know who it is. Give us a spoiler. Who is it? Who is it?
Who's tapping out? I believe that Kel and Miranda are going to be tapped from the challenge next episode.
I concur. I do not want either one of them to go, but it makes the show. Having people leave kind of makes the show. But the fact that we're only on episode 3, it's too early. Remember what happened on the last Exhale? People were dropping like flies, and they had to bring in some legends to try to save the show. I don't know. Let's just save it. Miranda, no. And people are already talking about how they didn't remember Miranda, right?
Yeah, pretty much all the 21 day areas, people are like, because, the 4 mentors it's either all positive or a little bit controversial. Frank is remembered positively, and Russell is very controversial. Everyone else, people are like, oh, I don't remember them.
I would like to point out something else to you, Gabe. Did you notice that on this version of Naked and Afraid, how the teams came in together, how there was really no introductions? I wonder how much time they spent together, or when they found out who their partners were going to be, if they interacted with the other groups before the show started. I think that there was a lot of interaction just because the way that they acted, they didn't seem like it was a surprise. What do you think? Am I wrong, or do you think I might be right?
I think you're right. I think before challenges, or at least in the big challenges like XL and Last One Standing, they all kind of meet up, or they kind of interact a little bit and then are kind of sent out. And the regular Naked and Afraid is really the only where it's a big surprise. And I know at least on Last One Standing, they all interact beforehand because, we've seen photos of all them together. And so I'm sure with Apocalypse, maybe they met up before and they were divvied up into teams. But I wonder if, based on interactions that they have when they first meet each other, producers are like eagle-eyeing everyone and they're like, good partnership, tension. Ooh, those 2 are going to fight. Let's put them together. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
I never even thought about that, Gabe.
My mind does weird things.
I thought you were going somewhere else. I thought you were going in a whole nother direction. Again, you bring up I'm trying to point out something I noticed, and you bring up even a better thought. I never thought about that. I don't know. Maybe we can talk to a producer. I'm sure they would never spill that information, but that's a really good point. I thought you might be going towards a direction that maybe some of the interaction before the show is the reason why people don't get along or get along so well during the show. I thought that's what you were going to say, but you're saying that the producers might spot who works well together, who doesn't work well together, and then divvy up the teams. I don't know. Whatever it is in their secret sauce, it's working.
Yeah, producers know what they're doing when they cast the survivalists, and I'm sure I'm sure they have like a safe group where it's like, okay, we know these individuals will work well together. Then maybe they have 2 groups with some wild cards, and then they have the group that they know will probably have some, tension, a little bit of conflict that could either be resolved later or result in a group splitting up. And, you have Taylor Swift, We Are Never Getting Back Together, playing in the background. And,
Right.
Joe's like, I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me.
Wait, are we going to get copyright infraction for that? You can't. I don't know. We might have to cut that out, mute him out, because we don't want any copyright infraction. But I will say this. Before we go, we're going to remember, This is what everyone who wants to go on Last One Standing or who wants to go on Apocalypse XL channel your Matthew Stafford. Also, don't forget the wise words of Russ. What was it, Gabe?
That even if it's positive or negative, if you're talking about them, they'll most likely be brought back to the show.
And don't forget to check out the clip of the lawyer advice man that I love. I watch him every day. Maybe we can get him to give these survivalists a little advice on how to handle tension when you're naked, afraid, starving, bug bit, upset, feet hurt, sleep deprived. And see, that's why the show's just called Naked and Afraid, because they couldn't go on and on and on because there's just so much that's going on out there. With that being said, I love everybody. Gabe, I love you. I love your haircut. Don't think
Thank you.
didn't notice the haircut. It's
Thank you. I did it
beautiful.
myself. Thank you. It's so much nicer when it's hot out, having short hair.
I can only imagine. We are just true fans. We thank you for your support. Please like, follow, and subscribe. And we have some more interesting things coming up this season.
Thank you all so much. And remember, don't send hate to any of the survivalists and support your favorite.
Support your favorites. Bye, y'all.